class. So today I decided to do the recent scholarship or discussion on Ann Myles from Monster to Martyr, representing Mary Dyer. It looking at Ann Myles' work and also kind of looking at some other individuals, including reading Mary Dyer's work herself, which in the center of the picture, you do see Mary Dyer. This is actually during either it's a representation. I'm not absolutely sure if this is after her initial trial when she's exiled or when she's about to be executed. My presumption would probably be this is where she's probably going to be executed. But anyway, Mary Dyer is an individual during the Puritan age in that, and she actually was living within Massachusetts, and she converts into being a Quaker from being a Puritan, and due to issues with religious belief, and as well as the society itself. And this is kind of a thing that Ann Myles hits on, and this is kind of how she starts up her paper. She's looking at the fact that Mary Dyer herself, or I should say, Anne Hutchinson is the one who comes up and says, I take charge of this monster, or I take this monster, something along those lines. But she's basically bringing in Anne Hutchinson, who is also another woman of the time who's very, very outspoken. And she would too later be exiled because she disagreed with and did not conform to what their view of a woman's place should be, as this is the Quaker or the Puritan society is very, very patriarchal, very, very uh, male dominant society. And this is kind of typical to the English society and everything of that time. And gets into a whole different can of worms. Just like the other part is something that kind of leads to another point looking at the Puritans is also that's also where you start looking at the Salem witch trials. And this also kind of has a backward lead into this as well, because the fact that they use the whole devil worship and everything else as a way of condemning individuals, saying that they're in league with Lucifer and coming up with supernatural acts and all these. And same thing is kind of used on Mary Dyer as well. Anne Hutchinson had been Mary Dyer's midwife. She'd given birth to a child. The child had actually ended up being born deformed and stillborn. So they actually had buried the child, they exhumed the child, fine, and then they write up a description of this, basically giving very demonic description, a visage of the dead child who's been in the earth for a while. This is kind of a unique and well, shouldn't be say unique. This is kind of the view and kind of bringing back when you even go back further. You look at the Catholic Church, and this is how the Inquisitors also would sit there, look out, try to find witches, heretics, and the likes, finding that they were in league with Lucifer and bringing this all up to persecute them. So this is kind of a really twisted way of seeing how history kind of reflows back through over and over again. And it's something that you kind of notice in the different works I've kind of drew from and looking at, where they talk about Mary Dyer and how the fact that the Puritans who fled England to become to the United States or to the New World to avoid persecution are actually, in fact, persecuting people as well. So this is kind of a real thing, is they kind of are backpedaling through what has been done in the past, how others have persecuted people concerning their religious views and the likes. And this is something very interesting and something that I find is very unique in the Mary Dyer story and what kind of drew me to actually do this one and look this one up.